Hello there, fit like. Oh, accidentally played my own recordings. Yeah, no, I was playing absolutely live there, of course. And how are we all fit like my bonny haddies? Let me just put down the instruments and bring in the bra chair. Well, what a bonny day, and it's grand to see you all. My name is, as I'm sure you're aware, James Scott Scunner, and the famous Scunnerer of the fiddle for Aberdeen. And gin you kenny mak out twit I'm spraken, then dinna fash, because I'm not quite sure myself. Anyway, this is a wonderful new development for Sandy and Sunday, because never before have we delved into the world of the violin. Now, as you can see, the bow is not supposed to be attached to the fiddle like this, which means I've done something terribly wrong. We'll sort that out later, maybe next year, because I'll have to admit I wasn't actually playing there. That was just but that was an actual recording of Scott Scunner that you were hearing there. Oops, I've just pulled off the fox's tail. This is actually, it's like one of these kids gloves things, you know, it's got a tie through it. So this is my dressing gown, because I was actually recreating, I don't know if you saw the photo that I did to advertise today's show, but it's from a very famous painting done of Scott Scunner. I'll tell you a bit more about Scott Scunner in a minute if you don't know who he is, but that's a very famous painting of him from 1907, which was the photo shoot I was recreating yesterday. I tell you, there's a hell of a lot of investment gone into cotton wool for last night's and today's show, because cotton wool and glue is not reusable, I've discovered. In fact, well, it is reusable if you want to cover your fingers in it after you've made a moustache and eyebrows and everything, because it all seemed to get stuck to your fingers. It took me hours to get it off last night. So this is brand new. This is a different get up from last night. But there's the picture I was recreating. It's amazing. And so I was trying to get the big coat you see with the fur. So I don't know if any of you saw my Viking episode a few weeks ago on music from Scotland, but this is actually part of the Viking gear. My dressing gown, and then for the furry sleeves I had this weird foxtail, fake fur by the way. No real foxes were harmed in the making of these cuffs. Yeah, a fox fur thing that I used to wear sometimes when I'm doing the Jimi Hendrix Cayley band show, and I just wrapped them round to make cuffs. It's very convincing. It's very convincing. Look at this. This is a jabot, or is it a jabot, your friends? This is the frill, as we call it, and I haven't worn one of these for years. Fantastic. And look at this. This is the best bit of all. This is a homemade sporran. Look, this is made from an actual wig. But sometimes you get really big, long, hairy sporrans like that. It's a sign of male fertility, I'm sure. So I thought I'd better have a big, hairy one. Yes, well, I better change the subject. Now, that was the Cameron Highlanders, by the way, which is a wonderful tune of James Scott Scunner, and that was him actually playing it, because he was one of the first artists in Scotland to ever be recorded, and he made a successful career recording it. The recording spread his music all over the world, which is part of the reason why he became a pop star in his day. And he dressed like a pop star. He went out in the full Highland gear for years, on and off stage. It just became his thing now. Anyway, what we're going to do is switch to the much more superior, if slightly more modern instrument, the accordione, to play some of Scott Skinner's stuff. And well, let me tell you a little bit about him. First of all, he was born in 1843. Yeah, 1843, in a little village of Arbidi, in Aberdeenshire. Beady, beady, beady. Does anybody remember that little robot that hung around somebody's neck in Buck Rogers in the 21st century, 1970s version? No, probably not. Anyway, it always used to say beady, beady. Anyway, Beady, what a funny name for a place. But he actually wrote a tune called Beady. It's a Strathspey. It was a little bit boring. So I'm not going to play it because he wrote over 600 tunes. Many of them were amazing, some of them very mediocre. So our BD is not one of my favourites. So I'm going to play it. Well, to be honest, I don't know how to play it. I could have read it off the music. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to play some of the stuff I do know. This is probably the most famous tune that he wrote. In fact, some of the bars of the music of it are on his gravestone, which was a monument set up to him after he died in 1927, I think, by some of his friends and admirers. Wouldn't that be lovely to have a little bit of the music that you wrote as your epitaph on your gravestone? Apart from me, because I wrote a tune called The Crapper, and they'd probably put that on my epitaph, so don't do that, please. Pick a nice one. Anyway, here we go. This tune that's on his gravestone, a few bars of it, is called The Bonnie Lass Bonaccord. They obviously didn't fit the whole tune on it, because it's quite a long tune and it's got variation stuff. I'm going to try and play it as well as I can. The Bonnie Lass of Bonaccord. It's interesting. Cheery little ending coming up. Yeah! Wow, he knows the way to do it, old Scott Scunner. Playing with the emotions. He starts off normal. He racks it up to a big, massive variation. And he brings it down for a little sad, heart-rendering bit at the end. And then finally finishes off with a happy last couple of bars. This man is a true performer. I learned everything I know from him. I seriously wonder if old Scott Scunner would have liked the accordion. It must have been around. I don't know, did he see it as a horrible invasive thing, like a like a boil growing on the back of his neck, or did he actually like it? There's no evidence whether he liked the old squeeze box or not. So he's probably spinning in his grave along with many other people that have impersonated in the show at the very sound, the very thought of his wonderful compositions being played on the accordione. Never mind. That's the breaks. Once you've let your little children out there, your little tunes that you've composed into the big bad world, there's no control in them. It's up to everybody else what they do with them. Yeah, massacring them on the accordion. Well, I'm going to massacre some more. Anyway, that went surprisingly well actually, because it's quite a difficult tune and I haven't played it for many years. But that was the kind of showpiece that I saw, like the Curry brothers doing, I think, when I was a kid in Linlithgow. The Star and Garter, I think, we did a performance in the 1970s. Amazing. I was blown away. Little did I think years later I would be performing it live on Facebook. Wow! Never mind live gigs. No, this is where it's all at. By the way, I'm drinking coffee today, just in case any of you think I'm on something that really I'm not. Kind of wish it was. Okay, we've got some nice tunes coming up now. This is a little quiet one. Honestly, he wrote over 600 tunes. You've no idea how difficult it is to write one tune. It takes a huge amount of effort for me anyway. Some people just scribble them off. But no, it's really hard. I find it. I have to sit for hours straining the notes out of my head somehow. And not only that, but it's really difficult to write a good tune. And he wrote, honestly, millions of great tunes. Well, not millions, but hundreds of great, hunners, as he would say, hundreds of great tunes. And here's one of them. This is a slow air called The Music of Spey. Music o' Spey. Sorry. I'd be black affront at the way I'm speaking. Right. Can't really see me, I'll pull it down a wee bit. You want to see the accordion, not me? Where's the cameraman? He always disappears when I need him. I think I managed to get through a whole slow air there without cocking it up for a change. I must have been channeling the spirit of Skinner. Let me tell you a little bit more about old Scott Scunner. He was, as I say, born in 1843 in Arbedy, but a few years later his father died and he moved in with his sister in Aberdeen because his mother remarried. But before his father died, William Skinner he was a dance master himself, much like Scott Scunner was, famous now for being a wonderful composer and violin player, but fiddler, as we say. He's a well-known fiddler. That doesn't sound right. Take that back. But he was actually his first career was in dancing. He was a dance master. That's what he did before he did anything else professionally, anyway. Although not as a child, which I'll come to in just a minute. But anyway, his father was actually a dance master as well, and in a tragic gun accident, which was being fired at a wedding and a celebration, his father accidentally blew off the three of his fingers on his left hand with a shotgun. And he was also a fiddle player, and he had to switch the fiddle around to play left-handed. So he held the fiddle in his right hand and used the two-fingered hand to do the bowing, which is very sensible. But there's not that many left-handed fiddlers about, although there's quite a few these days because of Angus Grant Senior up in Fort William, Hugh Lochaber, who is left-handed. I think he teaches a lot of his pupils are left-handed. Might have got that wrong. Anyway, it's very unusual to see somebody playing left-handed. It's bloody difficult, I would imagine. It's like turning your accordion upside down. I've tried it once or twice. It's not good. It sounds even worse. And I turned it back around and just stuck with it. I thought this is as good as it's going to get. Anyway, I don't know if he wrote it for his father, but Scott Scunner wrote a tune called, a wonderful tune, which I've been playing for years, called The Left-Handed Fiddler, or the Corrie Fister, as he would say in Doric. Mind you, that sounds a little bit rude as well. Oh, how does it go? Tune there halfway through. No idea the pressure of doing these shows while trying to maintain perfect eyebrow and moustache horizontalness. Is that a word? I don't know. Anyway, speaking of moustache and eyebrows, I've got some spare cotton wool here and spare glue just in case the worst happens. But they're looking pretty good actually. This is you're probably wondering where my Yoo-hoo glue is. Well, Yoo-hoo, after all the advertising I've been giving them all last year, still haven't got round to sponsoring me, so I've given up on them. No, actually what happened was I went to get the Yoo-hoo out last night, out the drawer. It's the bottom drawer in the kitchen, you know, that drawer that you put all the stuff in that you don't know where to put anywhere else. It's always a mess. I've tried clearing it out several times over the years, and it magically becomes a huge mess again straight away as soon as you close it. Anyway, I couldn't find it. I found it at the very bottom, and not only that, but tragedy, something else in there had pierced the giant thing of Yoo-hoo. I had like 10 years supply there. It was massive, and it had leaked for the last few weeks. It's been leaking over the inside of the drawer like a beautiful porridge that you would pour into your drawer to last you a month. Anyway, Yoo-hoo, which is not particularly sticky as we have discovered in previous shows, seems to, if you leave it to set for a couple of weeks, seems to turn rock solid because it's actually glued everything in the drawer to the bottom of it now. That's going to be a hell of a job to clear out. But anyway, I need something to keep me occupied in lockdown 3. So I'm just using all-purpose 151 clear glue. If that company's still on the go, would you consider sponsoring me, please? Look, like that's a great job with cotton wool. Anyway, glue and cotton wool. Whoa, not a good combination. You don't want to get that in your fingers. You get little hairy hobbit fingers. Yeah, that's what happened last night. Very embarrassing. Thankfully, nobody comes to the door these days. Otherwise, you go, hey, why you got hairy fingers? Oh yes, I love your fairy fingers in the accordion. No, hairy fingers. And and by the way, why are you wearing these that giant moustache, eyebrows, and moustache? Well, I could say because of this. Just look at the picture, man. That was a famous picture actually by who was that? J. Young Hunter, and it was actually presented to presented to Scott Scunner in his lifetime. Look, see, that's what it really looks like. It's just like a fox's tail. I'm not going to bother trying to fix it again. By the way, it's roasting in here. I might take this off. No, too late. Right, time to play some more tunes. This is Scott Skinner's Compliments to Dr. MacDonald. I have no idea of the story behind this, the backstory, as he would say these days. The black affronted story, no. The doctor possibly performed a procedure on Scott Scunner. Who knows? It was obviously successful anyway. Right. Scott Skinner's Compliments to Dr. MacDonald. Scott Scunner, by the way. It could refer to one of two ladies, which I'll tell you about in a pause for dramatic effect. I'm going to give up there before I massacre it. That was not bad, although I think I might have missed out a bit. Mrs. Scott Scunner. Yes, I said it could refer to two Mrs. Scott Skinners because there was actually two Mrs. Scott Skinners. He was quite a lad, was old Scott Scunner. And yes, his first wife, Jean Stewart from Aberlour. They got on okay first of all, as often happens in marriages. Things went downhill slightly when Scott Scunner overreached himself, you might say, with the publication of the Elgin collection. This is one of his many collections of music, self-penned music, and also collections of well-known songs and other tunes by other people, but a lot of it by himself. And he became £150 in debt at the publication of this, which was quite a lot of money in those days. And to give you a comparison, when he was a small boy performing with another famous Aberdonian fiddler called Peter Milne, also known as the Tarland Minstrel, he used to accompany him. Scott Scunner used to accompany him as a young boy on cello. He was paid a princely sum of 25 pence a month, 5 shillings, yeah, so 150 quid was quite a lot. And when he got into debt, and that was called the Elgin collection because he was living in Elgin at the time with his wife, and then they separated. Separated because his wife was moved into Elgin Asylum, where unfortunately she spent the rest of her days with nervous tension, having been put into that state by the, I suspect, quite strong-willed Scott Scunner. Anyway, he moved on. He married a wonderful lady called Gertrude Mary Wood next, who came from Rhodesia. And she went back to Rhodesia very quickly, well, not very quickly, after 10 years, because she also had enough of old Scott Scunner. She was scunnered with him. And he ended up on his own, which is a familiar situation. Never mind, we're going to carry on. This is another beautiful tune by Scott Scunner, and it's a great one for learning if you're learning an instrument. It's quite straightforward, although I'm sure I managed to get the odd wrong note in there. It's called the Cradle Song. You probably recognise it. You might not realise Scott Scunner wrote it. Lovely, the Cradle Song. Yes, well, I said as a young boy, Scott Scunner was playing with the Tarland minstrel Peter Milne. One of Peter Milne's most famous tunes is Big John McNeill. Etc. I was only going to play a few bars of that, but then I remembered that people often, when I read the messages later, that people are putting up live, often people go, "Oh, carry on playing, I want to hear the rest of it." So I give you the whole tune there, but just once through each part, just a quick bit, because this show's about James Scott Scunner, not about Peter Milne. We may do him another day. I'm not sure if he's got enough material, probably has. I'll need to investigate. Anyway, he played with him as a child, but before he played with Peter Milne, the young Scott Scunner was taught, first of all, by his older brother Sandy, Alexander Forbes Scunner. Sandy, and as a tribute to Sandy, I have got my little rotating rolling pal here, Toki 2, Robo Toki, who is actually dressed up as also a Scott Scunner today, because they've had quite a lot of spare, what do you call it, cotton wool. In fact, with rather a lot of spare cotton wool. So if anybody's got, I don't know, is this any use for ladies for makeup or something? So send me a note if you want some. I can post some cotton wool to you. It's probably very cheap to post because it's light as a feather. Anyway, yes, we've got Sandy the dog here, who I've named after my older brother Alexander Scunner. And in the back there, you can see wee Toki himself. Can you see him? He's got a wee cotton wool eyebrows and moustache as well, because there was tons to go around. So I thought we'd all get dressed up for today, which is nice. It's like a family thing. Anyway, yes, what I was saying was at the age of 11, young Scott Scunner joined Dr. Mark's Little Men. They were a bunch of little men, little players, musical players, who, who were sponsored by Dr. Mark from Manchester, based in Manchester, and they travelled all around the country giving performances. Dr. Mark actually looked after them, he fed them and clothed them and taught them how to play the fiddle, and he signed up for a 7-year contract. And that's what James Scott Scunner did, travelling all around the country with them. Excuse me. And he gave up after 6 years. He missed the final year, but he learned a lot. And he was also taught by Charles, what's that chap's name? He's a French guy, Charles Rougier, when he was down in Manchester, and he taught him how to read and write music, which Skinner actually praises him for giving him his talent for composing, or that's how he started off with it. So yeah, quite an interesting start, and then he came back and became a dance master in the Highlands, and was travelling all over, making quite a good living, teaching people how to dance with his daughter and his sister-in-law as well, I think, at some point. And he once won a dancing competition in Ireland, dancing the sword dance and accompanying himself on the fiddle. Now that is talent. That's talent. Speaking of talent, had a little bit of an ego, of course, James Scott Scunner, and one of his most famous quotes is, in fact he wrote this on the front of one of his music collections: "Talent does what it can, but genius does what it must." Yes, he's a little bit egocentric. Anyway, talented guy. Hey, nothing wrong with that. What we're going to do now is play a set of strathspeys. The first one is called the Miller o' Hearn, and the Miller o' Hearn was actually one of his famous collections of tunes, as well as the name of this tune. And that's going to be followed by another. They're all Scott Skinner's compositions. Forbes Morrison, they're all strathspeys, and the last one is probably the most familiar one. The Smiths, A Gallant Fireman. Now, quick Aberdonian joke. You probably heard this before, but Aberdonian walks into the shoe shop and asks the person behind the counter for a pair of shoes in the size that you request. The attendant brings out the shoes, and the person picks them up, the Aberdonian, and can't work out which one's left and which one's right, and says in Doric, "Fit fits fit, fit fit fits fit fit." Yes, which foot fits which foot? Blew it. Never mind. Miller o' Hearn. Here we go. Just tuck my fox in. So lots of exciting other things happened to Scott Scunner over the years. In 1893 he decided to go on a tour of America, which must have been quite exceptional in those days, to be touring all the way to America, with a famous piper and champion highland dancer called Willie McLennan. Tragically, Willie died on the tour, and Scott Scunner had to beg for, and the rest of the cast had to beg for money from ex-Scots, expats to help get back to Scotland. I hate it. I hate it when one of your bandmates dies on tour. Such a pain. So inconsiderate. It was all tatties over the dike to Scott Scunner though. He just carried on. Nothing could faze him. As I say, he made his first recording in Glasgow in 1899. I said on vinyl, but maybe it was on a wax cylinder. I don't know. It certainly sounds like it's played on a wax cylinder. Right. Now, one of the most famous lawyers that Scott Scunner wrote was actually Hector the Hero, which was actually written in 1903 for his great friend Hector MacDonald. And Hector MacDonald was the only non-commissioned officer to make it to the rank. I think it was captain, was it? I can't remember. Anyway, very high up in the army, but they were always jealous of him. The commissioned officers, and they apparently they made up these alleged tales of him interacting with young teenage boys, and it caused him such emotional distress that he tragically took his own life. And Scott Scunner was very upset by this, understandably, and wrote this tune, which is a great testament to Hector MacDonald. It's called Hector the Hero. Wonderful tune. I really love that tune. Hector the Hero. Very fantouche. Fantouche, as they would say in Aberdeen. You know that Doric gets its name, by the way, from ancient Greek, because the main language in 2,000 years ago in Greece was Attic. Yes, not the attic in your roof. I don't actually have an attic here because it's just a flat upstairs. People live in my attic because I'm in a tenement flat. But no, that was Attic. But the Spartans, who were always like a little bit wide, yeah, they grew their hair long, they combed it before they went into battle. They just didn't care, yeah. They were like their own men. Spartans, well, they had a kind of succinct, shorter, rougher, yes, a little bit coarse version of Attic, which was called Doric. That's where the old Doric comes from, because it's very similar in its structure compared to English or Scotch. It's like a really concise, you can say what you mean. Baldy heed it. Not quite bald enough, actually. I should have skipped. Last week I was almost bald because of an accident with the trimmers, but being baldy Putin. But no, I've just grown back a bit, so I should have trimmed it again. But anyway, it's actually snowing out there. It's just starting to snow. I could have, instead of all this glue and cotton wool, I could have just gone and stood outside for 5 minutes. I would have had a nice white topping, like icing sugar. Right, what am I going to do to stop me speaking? But here's another one of I just spotted. I wrote this down earlier in case I forgot it. There's another one of Scott Scunner's slightly egotistical, egomaniacal comments. With the exception of myself, there was no Scottish violinist of any eminence at this time. What a guy. I'm going to finish off with possibly my favourite Scott Scunner tune, which is called The Laird Drum Blair. He caused the Richt Meneer with this, right? Hullabaloo. And it's a wonderful tune. It's possibly his best known tune. I don't know, there's so many good ones, it's hard to tell. But anyway, foo's your dues is what I forgot to ask you. Foo's your dues? How are your pigeons, as they say in the High Street, on Union Street in Aberdeen? That just means how are you doing? How are your pigeons? Foo's your dues? And fit. Hang on a minty while I remember this tune. Oh, here we go, the Laird Drum Blair. Right, it's all going to be over soon, folks. Well, that was wonderful. I know how much you love the accordion, but it would be nice to finish off with that little fiddle track again, because see, as you can see, I've managed to get this stuck in the fiddle, the bow. Oh my God! It's just separated itself. What I'm going to do though is play the same tune at the beginning, because of the flipped round version of the show that you always get. You actually see me the wrong way around. If you were ever in this flat, you just keep walking into things because you would be going the wrong direction every time. Not that I'm inviting any of you into the flat. In fact, nobody's allowed in the flat just now anyway because we're in lockdown. But which is convenient. you know, if somebody's like stalking you or that, it's handy not to be allowed to let them in. So, so it's annoying when they just pop up every day at the window and wave to you. Anyway, what I'm going to do is give you the same tune that I played earlier, but left-handed fiddler, just to show you how amazingly talented I, James Scott Scunner, am. Oh, by the way, I know I'm running out of time. I'm 1 minute over, but I forgot to tell you his original name was just James Skinner, like his brother's name, Alexander Skinner. So why is he called Scott Scunner? Well, it's because he was so impressed with his dance master as a young child, who was called Mr. Scott. He called himself Professor Scott, actually. That he, what was his name? William Scott, Professor William Scott in Aberdeen. That he called himself Scott Scunner as a tribute to him. Very nice. Wonder if somebody will one day call himself Brechin something. Probably not. Here we go. Anyway, I'll just turn turn the volume up on my fiddle and click on the magic fiddle button. I thank you. Fare thee weel. Fare thee weel, my wee bonny haddies. Well, that went surprisingly well, wee Sandy, didn't it? And your moustache stayed on. That was great. Now, what we're going to do is teach you to play the fiddle. And apparently, he's a very hard taskmaster. He used to rap the pupils over the head like that. If they were a naughty doggy, if they were a naughty pupil. And here. I forgot to put this on. Put your little hat on. There we go. Right, so lesson number 1. Papa Black Sheep, have you any wool? Okay, I'm going to go back to the accordion. Oh God, I've left that on again.